what is prosperity but being in the flow of one's purposefulness in life. And then you feel, it does have the feeling that when you're in that space, life comes back to support you. There seems to be some natural reciprocity. That's just as bad as being in harmony with life, in harmony with nature, natural like the breeze. Sound that vibrates in such a way that the mind just can, its thoughts, its kind of superficial thoughts that stay on the surface will start to dissipate if you keep the sound vibration on it for a little while. And so it's in a similar way that'll happen if you have a good moment with a song that you're listening to while you're driving the car. Sometimes you feel a certain way and then a song comes on and just makes you cry, and then you feel better, right? A good sad cry. Like a good moody, I don't know, for some people it's like, I guess they do country. For some people it's like Radiohead, you know, or whatever. Some artist that can also take the emotion, put their sound on, put the emotion into the sound. That's called a melody, you know, in a certain way. And then it has a rhythm, then it gets inside you and pop, the heart opens up. Sometimes in sadness, sometimes in joy, sometimes in inspiration, sometimes you feel aroused, sometimes you feel relaxed, all sorts of different things. So when you take the mantra and you put the sound onto the breath, it's like your body's like a resonation chamber, and it's very much a bit like tuning an instrument. But you're not trying for anything specific necessarily to happen as much as it's just actually what's in the center of you is all fine and good. You know, it's strong even, and it's prosperous, and it's purposeful, and it has a brilliance. Every human being has a brilliance, a unique brilliance. And so it's not really like you're trying to make anything happen, just as much as you're trying to make you happen. And make the life happen in such a way that it's connected to what life is all about. And all of that, nobody can tell us what life is all about. Only we have to discover that for ourselves. You can't tell that's why they're called secrets. Not because anybody's keeping it from anyone, but some things just can't be said. Some things can't even be known, but only to the knower. And that's how it is in the great purpose of our life. And each of us have that, and each of us have to come here and then go through the door of death at the end of it. And so it's good to feel purposeful and meaningful in life, because that life is nothing but purposefulness and meaningfulness. If you ever been in the presence of a baby being born, there's nothing more meaningful. There's nothing more purposeful than that. So it's just nature herself is purpose, is meaning. So it's really kind of uncomplicating things in a certain way. You know, it's not really taking on a new ideology to just chant a mantra. No, it's just saying, can I make the mind happy? Can I have the body feel good? Can I feel myself? And by the mind being happy, we naturally, and we're just saying relatively happy. We don't mean you're necessarily the happiest person in the world, but maybe one day. We mean relatively happy, because if the mind has some relative level of contentment, meaning we're not totally freaking out, we're not totally being over-dominated by anxiousness or depression or anger or our instability and our sense of instability in the world. Because if you want to find instability anywhere, you can find it everywhere in the changing world. And it's always been the case and will always be the case, but in this current time that we're living in, it does seem like there's accelerated instability because everything is moving quickly. It's the air element, Vayu, and it controls the mind and the nervous system. And the air element is what happens when Vata comes high, what they call Vata comes high. And the elements there's always the dance of the elements in life: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Earth and water give stability. Earth and water give stability when they mixed. Air and ether give instability. But earth and water can also give complacency and stuckness and lethargy, and air can also bring creativity and enthusiasm and inspiration. So what expression of the elements are we getting? So at this time where everything is accelerating, the sense of speed and time is accelerating, the ability to communicate with each other has, over the last 20 years, accelerated in phenomenal fashion, to the point where right now in real time, we're hanging out here, everybody at home's hanging out at home, and it's pretty much like, maybe only a few moments of delay. And that's even getting faster. And what's it going to be 20 years from now? So things are accelerating. So that's air element in the basic sense, because air element is the principle of movement and motion. So anything that moves in life is air element. It's nice to use the elements when things get complicated, when you're in a consultation with someone, if they're Ayurvedic practitioner, you just can't figure out. You just go simply always to the elements and what are their qualities. Earth is heavy, air is light. Earth is Earth is stable, air is mobile. And this type of thing. It doesn't need to remember it for our purposes here today. We're just kind of opening things up a little bit to start to open ourselves up a little bit, and open ourselves up to our sensitivity, our creativity, our brilliance, our sense of motion in the world, the movement of our lives. And is it going to move in an erratic fashion? That's what they call vata, the king of dis-ease, where everything is a little bit off rhythm, and always under the surface is insecurity and anxiety and fears. This is vata dosha. And so that same air and ether, when it's more centralized and relaxed in the nervous system, becomes the motion of purposefulness, becomes the motion of prosperity, becomes the motion of what is prosperity, but being in the flow of one's purposefulness in life. And then it does have the feeling that when you're in that space, life comes back to support you. There seems to be some natural reciprocity. But it's just as bad as being in harmony with life, in harmony with nature, natural like the breeze. And yet we're forcing things this way and forcing things that way because our minds, of course we are, it's life. Being in a human sometimes extremely feels so intense, doesn't it? And sometimes it feels like a total drag, and sometimes it feels like the most amazing thing, and everything in between. It's all the things. But we're only here for a time. We're only in these bodies for a time. We know that for sure. And so as the motion of our life, because motion also increases aging, and the more time goes by, the little bit older we've become, the little bit older the body vehicles have become. But we ourselves are never changing, and there's something that continues on. So air element value is motion. And in the body, when you take an inhale, and then you take an exhale, this is vayu, this is air element. But then it takes the form of the pranas in the organism, pranavayu, the wind which brings sensory information into your organism via the five sensory organs. Tactile perception, the feeling of touch, is governed by the air element. You feel like the wind against the breeze. Earth is fragrance, smell. Water is taste. Fire is sight, photons, light. Ether is sound. Air is touch. So that's why we get touch, our nervous system relaxes. If it's a loving touch. We need touch, we're human beings. And so we're very sensitive creatures. And so the nervous system, the brain, the mind, the movement, that's all governed by air element. This is vayu. So pranavayu brings information and energy into the organism, the in-bringing wind. It moves from out to in. Apanavayu, the negatively charged wind, is which eliminates things out. So also it governs your ability to eliminate in the mornings. But also the ability to eliminate unnecessary thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are just causing problems. And to be just like, yes, enough of this. Gudapanavayu. These are the basic ideas. So what comes in, what goes out, if you can kind of work with those two things, which Kundalini Yoga is so excellent at doing, then the other three, there's 5 winds, tend to operate how they want. So then you have that which is the Samanavayu, which goes from the periphery of the organism into the center. It's what they call the digesting wind. It lives, its seat is in the small intestine in the body, and it's the wind that kind of blows the flame of your digestive fire in the belly. And so if the wind's off, the fire is erratic, and the digestion's this, and then the digestion is that, vata. Yeah, but if you get the good, strong nervous system, the wind will start to do its thing. You get you start to vibrate the mantras, you start to work with the kriyas. More and more, the prana is appreciating how it feels when it centers itself in the body. You feel better. Life is more fun. The prana will feel that. The body will feel that, and it will respond accordingly. It'll be like, I would like to feel that more often because it's more fun. It feels better. It feels better to have your vitality, It feels better to not have anxiousness. It's more fun to be confident than it is to be insecure. But narcissism is a drag. So how do you do it? You see what I mean? Oh my goodness. How am I going to be confident and also humble? Well, real humility gives confidence. Because our confidence isn't like based on some status or something that we do or some club that we're a part of or some activity or some way that we eat or some sense of we know more than ordinary non-magic type peoples like this. These are all just, as I would say in South Carolina, hogwash. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything really, in the sense that it's easy to have sometimes superiority sensation or inferiority sensation. And sometimes we do these types of practices and do this type of work, and we've had more just naturally, subconsciously, habitually inferiority sense in parts, at least parts of our lives. And then you do something and you get confidence, not because anything outside changed, but because you experience yourself. And then you get overconfidence. Sometimes it can maybe pendulum swing a little far from inferiority to superiority because you heard the good news or something like this. And then you think your spirituality is better than somebody else's, and they're going to hell, and they're going to heaven. It's the stupidest little thing, human things that we do. And we all do it, across the board. We all do it somehow. But life is very simple in the sense it's about love and happiness and compassion and concern for life. And when one takes the concern for life, that vata settles in the nervous system. When my concern for you is more and more similar to my concern for me, kind of reversing the narcissistic tendencies. Maybe we've needed them because we had to survive. But now in order to survive, we're going to have to care about one another, or we're not going to survive, most likely, as a species. And so that type of concern for another becomes crucial in the practice of yoga. Because otherwise it really runs the risk of spiritual narcissism. I'm not mean to oversimplify spiritual narcissism or to pretend to understand it completely. But sometimes it's the most volatile style of narcissism. It seems to me. I'm not an expert. I'm just going off my sense of experience. So this is not about anything like that. This is about each one of us getting confident in ourselves based on our experience of ourselves and the experience of our own unique intelligence, and see if we can discover for ourselves, if we haven't already, our own inner brilliance that then shines through the story of life as a type of outer brilliance. And outer brilliance can stick around. You create something and it lives on. And so life is creativity, taking care of life, being concerned for life, and being creative. It takes creativity to become happy because you have to transform the mind. And that's why art, it works so wonderfully as a Dharma practice, because it's creative and it helps if a beautiful song will help transform the mind. Sometimes, and not just like make you cry when you're sad, but really give you a type of inspiration and upliftment that even in the most difficult of times, it'll help carry you through. So the confidence that comes from the experience of the self is that confidence that takes you through difficulties. And it's a confidence that doesn't get too puffy, because it understands in it that there's suffering involved here. That I'm suffering, and just the same I know others are suffering, but also I'm happy and others the same are happy, and I want to be happy and others also want to be happy. So we're all in this thing together. None of us can be fully happy until the whole thing's happy. So that's a great journey to be on. We're not worrying about, well, how is that even possible? What a drag. You know what I mean? It's about magic in that sense. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Best easy way to stay in touch with us. Hit the subscribe button here. You'll see our videos when they come up. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button. It'll help more people see it, help the channel grow. I appreciate you watching.